This is the METS POSTCAST, your instant game reaction for the New York Mets. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
The New York Mets pulled off a disappearing act tonight. All of the good vibes from last night's contest and the start of this one disappeared in a fourth inning that saw the Atlanta Braves score 9 runs as the Mets fall 11-6 in this one. A lot of questions once again about the starting pitching and just a absolutely just debilitating loss for the New York Mets. Welcome into the Mets Postcast here. Locked On Mets YouTube channel, the Locked On Mets podcast feed. I'm your postcast host, Chris Schubert, here with you after each and every Mets game throughout the course of the season. If you'll notice a new look tonight, I have the blue light glasses on because my eyes were strained, mainly needing to watch that fourth inning tonight, and David Peterson and Reed Garrett combined to give up 9 runs in that inning, and that is where we will start tonight on the postcast.
This is what you'll be talking about.
Once again, here we are discussing the New York Mets and their starting pitching. Tonight, it was 3 1/3 innings from David Peterson and doing some rough back-of-the-napkin math. That is 10 outs. That is all that David Peterson was able to give the New York Mets tonight in this contest. Once again, putting the center stage, the spotlight on this rotation. And now the one guy that everybody assumed would be the guy that could deliver the length, could deliver the quality. Now even David Peterson is involved in this mess that is the New York Mets rotation here in the month of August. I'll just go through it. David Peterson tonight, 3 1/3. You asked for 17 outs from your bullpen to try to win this game. Reed Garrett came in, 6-5 lead, needing to get 17 outs from your bullpen. How many times are you going to be able to do that over the course of a baseball season? But let's back up. Let's go to the last time that David Peterson started. We'll go in reverse order. These are the outings that the New York Mets have gotten from their starting pitchers. Clay Holmes gave you 3 2/3 last night. Remember, that was a footnote for us. That was after the break in last night's postcast. Offensive explosion, Pete Alonso, home run king. We got to Clay Holmes eventually. We talked about how, hey, it's not all great. It's not all sunshine and rainbows. The Mets continue to have a starting pitching problem, but we got to it a little bit later on in the show. 3 2/3 from Clay Holmes last night. Sean Manaea, his last time out, 4 innings. Frankie Montas, as the bulk reliever after Reed Garrett was the opener, only could give you 3 innings. Kodai Senga, 4 1/3, his last time out. David Peterson, August 6th, his last start before tonight, 6 innings pitched, 4 runs allowed. So since David Peterson pitched 6 innings and allowed 4 runs against the Cleveland Guardians in a loss, the Mets have gone a full turn through their rotation, and nobody has finished 5 innings. We've all tried to will somebody other than David Peterson into the 6th inning. Well, the last turn through the rotation for this squad, it has been the 5th inning that they have not been able to get to. And you are just not going to win baseball games when you can't get 5 innings out of your starters, because that normally means you're not getting the quality from your starters if they can't even finish 5 innings. Normally, a starter can labor through 5 innings and keep you in the ball game. Certainly not the case tonight. The Mets offense got this team out to a 6-run lead, continuing all of the good vibes from last night. You felt like they bottled it up, exactly what we asked for at the end of last night's show, and they got off to such a hot start offensively. And just like that, in the blink of an eye, in the 4th inning, it's just a sudden car wreck immediately for this rotation night in and night out. Clay Holmes, it was him in the 4th. David Peterson tonight in the 4th. Manaea could only get you through 4 and probably shouldn't have even been stayed in to finish that inning. Montas only gave you 3. Senga barely got past 4 innings. This is not a rotation that's going to win in the postseason. This is not a rotation that's going to get you to the postseason. I know we're all excited. Nolan McLean's going to come on Saturday and take Frankie Montas' spot in the rotation, but the Mets have other problems. Clay Holmes can't give you length. Sean Manaea is not giving you length. Kodai Senga, the starter tomorrow, is not giving you length. And tonight, the one guy, old reliable, the one person that we have pointed to over and over and over again as the consistent, reliable, trusted guy even he has been caught up in this malaise that has hit this starting rotation. And I mean, let's face it, I don't want to get too much on the offense. I mean, they weren't perfect. Certainly after the Braves took the lead, they had a couple of chances to quickly respond and get back into it, and they missed some chances. I don't know. Somebody needs to explain to me how Pete Alonso gets thrown out at home plate from second base 3-2 in motion. There's a great throw by Eli White in the outfield, but you're in motion on a 3-2 pitch. How are we getting thrown out by a good maybe step and a half at home plate? I mean, Pete was out by a stride. I know he slid, but he would have been out by a stride. Soto, that strikeout in the fifth on the slider up in the zone when it felt like the Mets were kind of onto something again. And then after that, there was never really anything that they could put together rally-wise. But I don't want to get on them. They scored 6 runs tonight. And 6 runs from this offense should be enough with this bullpen. I mean, think about this. Let me put you in a time machine for a second. If I would have told you before the game, the Mets with this great bullpen that was all rested, that didn't have to get used in the first game of this series, Justin Hageman did an absolutely excellent job saving the bullpen arms. If I told you that this excellent Mets bullpen, fully rested, multiple days off, most of the high leverage guys hadn't pitched since Sunday at the earliest, the offense was going to continue their hot streak. They were going to score 6 runs, and you have a fully rested super bullpen. You would have told me that the Mets win the baseball game. And yet here we are talking about a Mets team that lost 11-6 tonight, blowing a 6-run lead. They blew a 4-run lead last night. They've blown a 5-run lead. What was it, last week? They are just an absolute mess when it comes to their starting pitching. And I'm as high on Nolan McLean as anybody else. Nolan McLean and Brandon Sproat are not fixing this problem. The Mets don't have one starter right now that they can count on. Now, if you want to say give David Peterson a mulligan because he gave you 6 innings his last time out, he did give up 4 runs in that game. The Mets did lose. But the starting pitching is actively hurting this club. Actively. Reds won today, drawing the Reds closer. Phillies lost. You had a chance to gain some ground in the NL East. Couldn't do it. Had a 6-run lead. You were dreaming. I had the standings pulled up, looking at how close the Mets had gotten. It's going to be 4 games. And instead, here we are talking about a Mets team that lost 11-6. Again, the offense had a good night tonight. 6 runs in this contest should be enough to win. Were they perfect? No. Pete should have scored on that play. I have no problem with Mike Sarbaugh sending him. You got a runner in motion. A ball gets hit. It's clear. I mean, 2 outs. We're going. Soto striking out on a ball on top of the zone. I know he hit a home run earlier. I'm not trying to get on him because, again, he had power made that look easy. Deepest part of the ballpark. Hits a home run, makes it look easy. But missed chances in this game to get back into it. And the moment they got punched, the moment that 9-run inning happened, and you can't blame them, 9 runs get scored. Hard to really get yourself back into the game when you do all that work to go up 6-0, and just like that, it's gone. So more on this game tonight. We'll talk about the turning point in this one and the other stuff to keep an eye on, because there are some notable things that happened in this game other than that 4th inning and other than the offense scoring 6 runs. So we'll get to all of it, and obviously your thoughts. This is your vent session. Want to hear from you, obviously, as we recap just an absolutely brutal loss for the New York Mets, who have now lost 12 of their last 14. And the good vibes after last night, they started up again tonight with the way that the Mets played in the beginning of this contest, putting 6 runs on the board and getting to Carlos Carrasco, attacking him, just continuing to do all the good things that they did the night before. And in a flash, it was gone. We'll get to all of it here on the other side. If you're running a business, you know that every missed call is money left on the table. Think about the last time that you had a service emergency, like a busted pipe. If the first plumber didn't answer, did you just hang out, wait, hopefully they called you back? No, of course not. You called the next plumber. That's why having a reliable business line is so important. And that's why you need Open Phone. Open Phone is the #1 business phone system that's going to help you streamline and scale customer communication, all from an app on your phone or computer. Perhaps you are juggling 2 phones just to keep your business and personal calls separate. Open Phone is going to solve that instantly. Your whole team, they share one number, respond to customers like a shared inbox. No more miscommunication on which calls have been handled, who's handling what. All of it there in one shared inbox. And there's also an AI agent that's going to handle those after-hour calls answer common questions, and capture leads so that you never miss a customer again. Open Phone is offering Locked On Mets listeners 20% off your first 6 months at openphone.com/lockedonmlb. That is openphone.com/lockedonmlb. And don't worry, if you have existing numbers with another service, Open Phone is going to port them over at no extra charge. Open Phone, no missed calls, no missed customers. We've all been there. You log on, you wait forever for those concert tickets to go on sale, only to lose your spot for a show that you have been dying to see. Live music should be about making memories, not dealing with the stress of ticket shopping. Well, that's where Game Time comes in. They make getting concert tickets faster and easier than ever, and prices actually drop as it gets closer to showtime, and you can save up to 60% off with their killer last-minute deals. Are you tired of endlessly scrolling to find the best deal? Game Time's got the zone deals that pick the best seats in your section for you. Perhaps you're like me, you want to know exactly what your seat is going to look like, what my view is, how far away am I, the panoramic seat view. You're going to know exactly what your view will be before you buy your tickets. No surprises. With Game Time, the price you see is the price you pay. No hidden fees. Worried about what happens if plans change? The Game Time guarantee has your back with cancellation protection and more. Take the guesswork out of buying concert and show tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. Back here on the Mets Postcast, the Locked On Mets YouTube channel, the Locked On Mets podcast feed, recapping, I can't even believe I'm saying this, an 11-6 loss for the New York Mets, a 6-0 lead completely evaporating. The Mets pulling their best David Copperfield. They made a 6-run lead disappear in that fourth inning. It was a 9-run fourth inning by the Atlanta Braves that saw the Mets' hopes of a winning streak getting started, keeping those good vibes rolling from the first game of this series, just disappeared right in front of our eyes. And so, of course, the turning point in tonight's game, yes, it's that fourth inning.
Time to reveal where the game was won or lost. It's the turning point.
And specifically, it is the leadoff walk on 4 pitches that sets the gears in motion for what happens in that fourth inning. Leadoff walks obviously are brutal, but a leadoff walk on 4 pitches, you just can't have those. You can't just gift wrap an opportunity for the Atlanta Braves to get back into this game. And from there, the wheels just fell off, and they fell off in a hurry for David Peterson. The most amount of runs I think he's allowed in over 2 seasons, if not longer, as a New York Met. Just absolutely brutal. That fourth inning tonight, 9 runs get scored, capped off by the grand slam that Reed Garrett gives up. The stuff to keep an eye on: the second straight night that the Mets turned to their bulk inning guy. It was Paul Blackburn today in for Justin Hageman. And so they sent Hageman down after the game yesterday. They pulled Blackburn up to be their long guy. And now, so you go into tomorrow's finale. There's no day off going into the Friday series against Seattle, and you don't have a long man. You don't have somebody that can mop things up if stuff goes south. So that means you're going to have to use all your good relievers in that game tomorrow. You're going to hope for Kodai Senga to give you more than what you've gotten from everybody else as of late. But I read you the numbers earlier. You should expect that not to happen. You should expect Kodai Senga to maybe get through 4, maybe be able to get through 5. And the Mets are going to have to turn to their bullpen because they don't have a long man available to them. Brett Baty firmly has a hold on this third base job. He's been playing some great defense, made a great defensive play last night in double play, made a couple of nice plays tonight, went 2 for 4 in this game as well. I mean, Mark Vientos is nowhere to be seen. He was actually asked about it before the game today. Somebody asked Carlos Mendoza about, is there anything wrong with Mark Vientos? The reason he hasn't played in a while. And Carlos Mendoza basically just said, you got 4 guys. You only have a couple of spots. Playing time's kind of limited. And he kind of just shrugged. And I don't know if he meant to give off this impression, but he certainly gave off the impression of, we're going to play the guys who are hitting. And right now, Brett Baty's hitting, and Jeff McNeil's got to be in there, and we want Mullins' bat in there. And so it's just not a lot of space for Mark Vientos. And so it was just kind of the acknowledgement of, this is not the mark of last year. And He's just not one of our best 9. And I know Mark had been playing well recently, had that what was it, an 11-game hitting streak he was able to get it up to. And it certainly feels like they could use his bat here at times, but the bigger problem right now is the starting pitching. Keith says they have Montas as the long man. According to Carlos Mendoza, the earliest that Montas would be available, I think, would be Friday. So potentially Montas could be available tomorrow. We'll see if they maybe push him along. But I don't know if Montas will be available tomorrow. If he is, then yes, that can be their long man out there in the pen. But I don't know if Montas will be available tomorrow. And just a little note here. I don't think this is going to hold, even though the offense scored 6 runs tonight. It's only the second time this year that the Mets have used the same lineup in back-to-back games. So they just have not been able to consistently roll out the same 9 in the same spots every single day because they've just been searching. They've been searching for answers. They've been searching for consistency. For a stretch of the season, it was, hey, looking for the top part of the lineup to do something. We're going to mix them around. Then it was, hey, the Fab Four, they're doing great. Soto's hitting well. Lindor's hitting well. And then it's the bottom half of the lineup that they're cycling guys through. We're going to play Vientos today. No, we're going to play Beatty. We're going to play Mauricio. We're going to give Luis Torrens some run. We're going to send Francisco Alvarez down. We're going to do all these things to try to spark it. They have not been able to put that consistent lineup together a whole lot this season. Max, I'll let you have the final word here on tonight's postcast. Chris, does Hefner need to be on the hot seat for this? This isn't the first season walks have been an issue. Now, I'll start with the second point first. The Mets, in general, philosophically, have not been shy in taking pitchers, whether they're starters or relievers, who have known to have command issues and high walk rates, and they've kind of embraced not letting that be the reason that they don't sign a guy. So I would agree with that second part of the take if the Mets had brought in a bunch of guys who had been excellent command guys. Every single one of them had low walk rates. Now all of a sudden they were spiking. And the Mets, not in every case, but they have not shied away from the idea of, the high walks, but you know what? We're going to live with it because we like the stuff and we think there's good swing and miss and we think we can get those command issues under control. Now, for the first part of your question, does Hefner need to be on the hot seat for this? No. I mean, Jeremy Hefner is a world-class pitching coach. I mean, we can do this individually. David Peterson, in fairness to him, there was a 90-minute weather delay tonight. In fairness to him, his last time out, he did go 6 innings. So we could very easily just write this one off. But in the midst of everything else, I don't really want to write it off. I want to discuss this starting rotation that the last time through for everybody, they have not been able to go past the 5th inning. Clay Holmes, I don't know if that's on Jeremy Hefner. I think he's just hitting a wall. I think this is a guy who, I don't know if they expected him to be able to constantly take the ball every 5th or 6th day. I wonder if you gave them truth serum, that they would have expected at some point him needing to transition to the bullpen for a little bit, only throw 2 or 3 innings, or maybe they thought he may have some arm fatigue and they may need a stint on the injured list. I don't know if they anticipated Clay Holmes going from closer to starter this year to make every single turn through basically up until this point. I don't know if they expected it. So I think you can write off that with Holmes. Manaea, Jeremy Hefner was here last year. Sean Manaea had a career resurgence, had a great year that led to the Mets wanting to bring him back. So if you're going to hold that against Hefner, then what are you going to do about last year? It feels like it's kind of a wash. Frankie Montas, that was a dart throw always. And Kodai Senga is very meticulous about the way that he does things. And he wants to, as you can hear, I am so amped up that I set off the Alexa device in my room. You can hear this, hopefully. I hope the mic is picking this up. I am so agitated tonight that I picked up the Amazon device in my office. Where was I? What was I saying? Oh, Montas was a dart throw. Not surprised that hasn't always worked out. But then with Senga, he's very meticulous, right? He's very careful about the way that his mechanics, and it just feels like he's tweaking a bunch of stuff. And so it just feels like I don't know how much of that's on Hefner, if it's on Senga. So I'm not really willing to put the pitching coach on the hot seat here in Jeremy Hefner. I think he's done a great job overall, and they're just going through it right now. They're going through a really bad stretch, and unfortunately, this is probably the worst time of year for them to go through that stretch. So before I set off any other smart devices here in my office, let's get out of here. We're back again tomorrow to break down the finale of this series between the Mets and the Braves. It is Kodai Senga on the mound for the Mets. Mark says, can they turn it around, though? That's the question that we're all looking to answer, and maybe we'll start to get that answer tomorrow, or we'll be back here once again discussing the starting pitching being an issue. But honestly, I hate that this is the answer. I wish I had a better answer other than just throwing my hands up and saying, I'm just as shocked as you guys that all of this is happening. I mean, there's a reason for all of these pitchers to be pitching great, and there are reasons for them not to be pitching great, but for all of it to be happening at the same time is just, I don't think anybody could have anticipated this, truthfully. We're back again tomorrow. If you are new here, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Hit that notification bell so that you are notified when we go live after the Mets get done. If you're listening to us in the podcast feed and you want to join us live, the Locked On Mets YouTube channel, the moment the Mets game is complete, you can join us and share your live thoughts with us in the postcast. The Mets blow a 6-run lead. Their offense continued to do what they did the night before, but unfortunately, once again, we are talking about the starting pitching for the New York Mets being an issue. We're back tomorrow to break down the finale of this series. Have a good one, Mets fans.